In this video, we're going to talk about how to reinstate your suspended driver's license in Indiana. We're going to walk you through the various steps and options for reinstating your driver's license. We're going to talk about reasons why there may be a suspension, and then with each of those reasons, what options you may have for reinstatement. But before we dive into that, let me introduce myself. My name is Nathan Vining. I'm a criminal defense attorney here in Indiana. I represent people in criminal cases all across the state. By the end of this video, hopefully you should know a little bit more about dealing with your driver's license issues here in Indiana. So dealing with driver's license issues, it's a very common kind of issue you run into as a criminal defense attorney. It's a very pressing issue. A lot of times somebody may have an OWI or multiple traffic infractions or even some insurance issue that led to a suspended license. And not having your license, it has major impacts. You have issues dealing with things about childcare. You have work issues. You have life issues in terms of getting to doctor's appointments, grocery store. The problems ultimately stack up when there's a license issue. So what we're going to do is talk about how to fix some of those today. Generally, there's several ways to reinstate a suspended license, but there's also a lot of reasons for why there's a suspension. First, and if you're charged with an OWI, you're going to be looking at a license suspension. Commonly, that is done before there's even a finding of guilt in the case. If there's probable cause that you were drinking, you're going to see a suspension right away in the case. Other times, there's a suspension for habitual traffic violations. If you have so many traffic convictions, you could see a suspension, oftentimes for a period of years. Failure to complete safety programs. So for instance, if you get so many points on your license, you may be required to take a driver's safety course. And if you don't do that in the right time period, you will see a suspension. If you drive without insurance, you will be facing a license suspension until you're able to provide proof that you had insurance. And then ultimately, failing to pay a traffic ticket, fines, or other court fees could result in a license suspension. So one of the best things you can do if you're looking to see why you're suspended and what you can do, or even if you're going to talk to an attorney about your license, is go online and review what's actually happening. And there's a website here. It's MyBMV. There it is for you, but it's known as MyBMV. Go on there. There's a specific section in your driving record. You can go there, click, I want to view my motor vehicle record, and you go in there and you can review, are there active suspensions, and then you can also review what reinstatement requirements there are in order to get your license back. And sometimes it may say you need to complete a driver's safety course. Sometimes it may show that there's unpaid fees. But basically, going there, getting a report, and reviewing it and talking about it with an attorney is one of the best first steps you can have towards getting you back to driving. Another important thing is that there are sometimes a need for an SR22 license, and basically this is a certificate that shows that you have financial responsibility. You have to obtain it from your insurance provider, and a lot of times that may be a requirement to get your license, and it would be noted in that record. And a lot of times you would have to have that SR22 insurance for a period of 180 days, which essentially means that you have adequate insurance to be driving. And a lot of times if you are required to have an SR22, you're going to see increased insurance rates, and it's something you can only get through your insurance provider. Also, as you go over your motor vehicle record, you may see that there's reinstatement fees. Sometimes if you're getting a accident without insurance, you may have to pay the BMV so much money to have your license reinstated. And it's important to know that if you are having a financial hardship, Indiana does offer fee waivers for these reinstatement fees. Typically, you would have to do some affidavit to show why you're having a hardship, and you should definitely seek the advice of an attorney. It could help you complete the petition and waive any reinstatement fees. So sometimes those reinstatement fees may be one of the barriers to getting your license back. Additionally, if you want to qualify for specialized driving privileges, you would need to get those fees waived or have those paid off so you can begin driving again. So ultimately, what we've talked about so far is basically, when you look at your report, there could be some simple things like you may have an unpaid traffic ticket, you may have to complete a driver's safety course, maybe you need SR22 insurance, or there's reinstatement fees that need waived. Other times you may have suspensions for other reasons, like operating while under the influence, maybe you're a habitual traffic violator. Here's where specialized driving privileges come into play. Indiana does offer, they used to be called hardship licenses, but we offer specialized driving privileges to people who have a suspension on their license but have some special need to be driving. What this does, it allows you to drive to things like work, in certain hours. It can drive for childcare purposes. You can go to the grocery store. You can go to healthcare appointments. The key is that it's not like a normal driver's license. You would be only allowed to drive to certain places in certain times, and you would go to court to set that up and create those restrictions. So specialized driving privileges, they are readily available, but there are times where they are not available. They're not available for people that are not Indiana residents. Also, if you are facing an OWI charge and you refused the chemical test and were not cooperative in the officer in that sense, you could be disqualified from having specialized driving privileges. That is something you're going to want to talk to an attorney about, because sometimes that can be negotiable. Other times you may have had your driving privileges revoked from being an unsafe driver or just incompetent or unfit, maybe for vision reasons or other reasons where the state's saying you can't operate a motor vehicle. You can't get specialized driving privileges then. Or maybe you have certain kinds of reckless driving suspensions and you're not going to be able to operate a vehicle under a specialized driving license in that instance either. But it is a very straightforward process to get specialized driving privileges. First, you're going to want to file in the county where you reside, basically petition that outlines why you're suspended and then where you need to drive and the times and purposes for the driving. You're going to want to be very detailed there and specific, because a lot of times the court will restrict when and where and what times you can drive. So that's where you're in one of those specific locations. And then typically there's going to be a court hearing. Sometimes it can be a remote hearing, other times in person. It just depends on your specific circumstances. But you're going to outline for the court exactly what's in the petition, why you're suspended, want to see fit. The court may also have other requirements they want to see you do. For instance, if you're suspended for substance abuse issues, they may require an ignition interlock. They may require you to do certain kinds of substance abuse classes while you are operating under the time period. They may want to see you do certain kinds of AA classes or substance abuse classes while you're operating under specialized driving privileges. And there's all sorts of stuff that may happen. So it's important to seek legal advice if you're looking to obtain specialized driving privileges. And ultimately, hiring an attorney helps. You have somebody with specialized knowledge of the BMV procedures, who has familiarity with the paperwork and can help create a stronger specialized driving petition that can help you drive where you're looking to go and maybe get it granted in a little bit more liberal of a fashion to not be as restrictive as it may be if you were doing it alone. So again, if you have questions about driver's license suspensions, feel free to give me a call. I think we talked about OWI suspensions for not paying tickets, suspensions for not completing driver safety courses. Ultimately, the key to this kind of issue is going to that MyMV, getting your driving record, and looking at what suspensions are there and what are the reinstatement requirements. And then from there, we can create a roadmap to tell, would you qualify for something like specialized driving privileges, or are there steps that can be taken to get your driver's license back? So if you have questions about this kind of issue, I'm happy to help. I can help you get your record and review it with you. So again, call or text. We'd be happy to talk, and thank you for watching the video. Feel free to like and subscribe.